Hey y'all.
Hey, everybody.
We are live. Welcome, 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 welcome. Oftentimes when we choose to move abroad, when folks choose to move abroad, we do so sometimes for the wrong reasons, and then sometimes it does not work out. And we don't want that for you.
No,
Right?
not at all.
Right, right. And it's really easy to run away from something
Yes, very.
as opposed to running to
To
something.
something. Yeah.
Right. And so I thought that that would be a good topic of conversation for today. And we have a very, very, very special guest that's going to talk about not only the thought process that you need to utilize to really evaluate that you are setting yourself up for success in your move abroad plans,
Oh, yeah.
but also that you are being realistic in what your expectations are and what you should expect. I guess that's redundant.
Yeah.
So, you ready to get started?
Let's do this.
All right. Hey, y'all. My name's Halisi.
And I'm Rick. Welcome to Our Black Utopia.
On our channel, we talk about money, we talk about travel and retiring abroad as we build generational wealth. Look, we help folks who look like us who are getting close to retirement age and forgot to plan, get their money straight.
To good people.
Yes, yes, yes. So that they can retire on time or maybe even early.
Early is always good.
So who is our special guest today?
Maggie Lazar.
All right.
I mean, she retired early.
Yeah, yeah.
So I give her kudos for that first.
Right, exactly.
You know?
Exactly, because it's not easy to do, especially in Morocco.
And she has YouTube page of single women retiring abroad.
Okay, single women retiring abroad.
SWRA.
I love it. I love it. So after this, you must check that out. And of course, all of the links are in the description below. But first, if you're new to our channel, then you might not know about, I used to say 8 years ago, but actually it was not that long because we started really thinking about this. And it was like 2017, 2018, that we got a financial wake-up call. We had this meeting with the so-called financial planner, and we looked at our money and it looked crazy.
Y'all know what to expect. It was crazy. Okay.
But we did get our financial act together in about 2019, 2020, and we went from negative 22,000 to over 1.1 million in net worth. Y'all, if we can do it,
so can
you can do it too. Y'all know we never made six figures. We didn't even make close to six figures, me, until I made close maybe the last year of my employment. But other than that, So if any of that sounds interesting to you, please hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you know every single time that we go live or drop a new video. And if you find this info, ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis. Welcome back.
Welcome back, Otis.
And if you find this information helpful, please hit that like button so that YouTube knows that this is something that needs to be shared with other folks.
Definitely.
All right, you ready to get started?
Let's get started.
Okay. Hey, Maggie, how are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Halisi, Rick, nice to meet you guys.
You too, you too. So we introduced you, but why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay, my name is Maggie Lazar. I live full-time in Panama City, Panama. I retired 3 or 4 years ago at 62. I just turned 66, so that was 4 years ago. Thank you. And I'm a retired nurse practitioner. My last job was as a psychiatric nurse practitioner, so helping with people with depression, dementia, anxiety, schizophrenia, you name it. I have been a nurse for over 40 years. I came to Panama, I visited in 2019 and fell in love with the country. And I made 3 other trips, just to test the waters. Is this really the place? Could I see myself here? And every time it was confirmation. So I moved full time in January of last year. But in researching for retirement spots, I came across the Peace Corps. So I just applied just on a fluke, and I'm like, this is for young kids, and I got in. So
Wow.
in the
Cool.
midst of deciding to come to Panama, I was like, I can't pass this opportunity. I have got to go. First of all, I was supposed to go to what is it again? I ended up in South Africa, but I was supposed to go to another country before. So last August, I went to South Africa with the Peace Corps, intending to be there for 2 years because that's the assignment. Yeah, I was supposed to go to Madagascar first, but anyway, you're getting old. You get kind of delayed synapses. Things come to you a few seconds after you think it.
It's all good.
So I was in the Peace Corps. I was supposed to be there for 2 years. And after 90 days of not being able to learn that tribal language, they tested me, and then a lack of amenities. My blood pressure stayed up. I was sleeping with big spiders showing up on my walls. I was like, I can't, I can't. I could do it for 3 months, but 2 years, I may not live to see. So after I didn't pass that test, I said, I'm going home. So I went home.
Okay. I didn't know about that. I did
Well,
not know about that. So I definitely want to talk about the Peace Corps process, but go
yes,
ahead.
it was a long, arduous process because typically the Peace Corps is for like kids when they finish college and they want to get some experience. And it's a great starting point for young kids. And then I think there was some rumbling about it's just for kids. You guys are discriminating against old people. So they opened it up to us. It was like a 9 month process of going through your history, your FBI. I mean, if you had something happen to you in your 20s, it shows up. And sometimes that delayed the approval process. Then you had to go through the whole medical thing. Well, you don't live to be 60 something and not have something wrong. So, but anyway, I give it up to the Peace Corps for trying to accommodate the oldies, right? And then when you get there, they make you for 3 months, you're learning a language. They speak English in South Africa, but as a Peace Corps volunteer, you sent to the boonies, to the villages.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
why you're not staying in Johannesburg. No. All right. So you're gonna go. We were going to only 2 provinces, and then it was in the village life. I mean, I'm kind of adventurous, and I thought, I'm going to enjoy cooking on the fire. I'm a cook. I want to do that. But I didn't think about you have to use the outhouse. And then the food is great, but being plant-based, it just wasn't what they eat a lot of meat. And then when the spiders started waking up with me on the wall, and my blood pressure wouldn't go down. And then they said, you were close to passing that language exam, but you didn't. I was like, oh, that's my way out. I am out of here. So I came back. So I returned
What language was it?
Chitsonga.
Oh,
Yeah, try
okay.
to say that.
Oh,
South Africa has 12 total languages.
Right,
They
right,
could have had more, but someone said they added sign language as one. So depending on the tribe, they have their own language.
right.
So if you're going to be working in the village, you have to learn to speak. But my thing is, we struggle every day. We had classes, and then you're going to test me, and you need immersion in a language like that. Just being with the people, so you can kind of sort of get it. But when you tell me I didn't make it, I was like, okay, Lord, thank you. So I'm out of here.
I'm out.
Well,
I'm
I
out.
really tried. Thank you for the experience. Yeah.
No,
Okay.
and
Bye
I loved
bye.
it. I loved it because we were going to be HIV counselors. And
Okay.
as a nurse, that's dear to my heart. But even though I wasn't there long enough, but we did like a week's long training with a bunch of young people. And they asked me to talk about depression and rape and sexual assault and all these kind of things. And I was like, that is right up my alley. That was my thing. And to just talk to those young men and women and see the light come in their eye, for me to say, get your education. You need to get a job. You don't need to depend on a man. for something to eat, and then let him abuse you. Little girls getting raped, pregnant. Oh, it's a mess. But having done that for that week, it just filled my soul. So even though I wasn't there for the 2 years, I feel like I did plant a seed somewhere. So I came back in February of last year, and then that was it. Okay, I'm not going anywhere else. This is home, so I need to get it together. And got my apartment, and I've been here ever since. And started with the single women thing in the spring, and God's been good.
And here you are. It's
Yes,
interesting because we've been to South Africa twice. The very first time was quite a while ago, maybe 15 years ago.
wow.
And we went as part of my graduate program.
Okay.
And actually more than, what? 10 years, 15, 20, about 18 years
About
ago.
18 years.
Because the young people that I taught with who were like seniors in college,
They're grown.
they grown. They got all this hair on their chin and all
Yes,
this.
yes.
Spare tire. I'm like, wait, what the heck happened? Y'all got old. But in any event, it's interesting. So where we were, the people in the townships, because it wasn't a village, but what we would say the suburbs of Cape Town, right? Spoke for the most part Xhosa.
Tonga, yeah.
So Xhosa.
Yeah. Yeah, with the
And you got the click and yep. And so they were trying to teach me some words and just laughing at me, Maggie. They were laughing at me. I'm like, look, I'm trying. I'm trying. My tongue,
not easy, no.
Right? Like my tongue was not built for that. But I really, really appreciated it. And obviously, a much different experience. I was there to teach entrepreneurship to kids. And so through the university program, and this was something that was necessary for me to get my graduate degree in business. And so we had an amazing time. We did not have to deal with no big billion type spiders, right? But we did take the internet down. We took that internet down because they were still on the system of like you only get a certain megabytes of data per month. And, the United States had passed that up a long time ago. Like we left that in the last century and they didn't tell us. And so it was me and, Rick, and then our youngest. And, I have a picture of us out in the backyard. Everybody's got their laptops. Everybody's got their laptops out. We took it down. So, yeah. Infrastructure, and that's something else that people, may not think about. We take a lot of things for granted.
Water, electricity, load shedding. Oh my God.
All that.
You have to buy data for your phone. And they had some storms in the evening at night that were scary. And I'm from Florida. I know storms, right?
Right.
But in a beautiful country, oh my God, driving through, OMG.
It is beautiful. It is beautiful. And I loved seeing all of those brown people. I love, both times. I'd say more the first time than the second time because a lot of things have changed. They've gotten a lot of immigrants from other African nations.
Yes.
And they don't really have the infrastructure nor the resources to accommodate all of these folks. But, when our friends were walking us around their townships and it was, yes, auntie, yes, sister,
Yes.
And
but there were so many different things about South Africa. And that's why, people need to travel just to see how the rest of the world lives.
Yes.
When I'm talking to this host mom and it's like, okay, where's your husband? Oh, he's at the other wife's house. Okay. Polygamy is just encouraged. These little girls have babies and the mom's like, who are my grandchildren? So they're encouraged. And there are so many cultural differences that would leave you with your mouth open. Like, okay. And so it's good to just to go to different places and see how the rest of the world lives.
Lives.
I had an amazing time, even though I was only there 3 months. And even some of my friends who stayed, we still stay in touch. Sometimes I feel a little nostalgic, but every time I think of the spiders, I'm like, I'm good.
Good. We all have got our game changers. All right, let's say hello to the
I
folks who are in
didn't
the
see
chat.
snakes, but ooh.
Right, like for Rick, it's snakes, and I have a little arachnophobia. I really do, and I've had it since I was a kid.
But yeah, you
And
will never get it.
Yes. Spiders don't get me, but if they're that big.
No. And then waking up on the side next to your pillow,
See, yeah,
and I'm like,
I'm
what if
having
it
issue with
crawled
that.
on me? What if it was in my hair?
right, I mean, if they're not poisonous, I suppose I could get myself together, but my initial reaction, it would really, I remember when I was a kid, this is so off topic, but I'm gonna say it. When I was a kid, I found just a regular California spider, right, in my bed. I did not sleep in my bed for about 3 months.
Yeah,
I was
I
sleeping
probably
on
do the same thing.
I was sleeping on the couch like the spiders can't get to the couch. The irrationality
What I
was
was
it.
doing when I was there? I was sleeping with the lights on, with my phone in my hand. If I woke up, the light
Right.
to check for spiders. It's not a way to live.
It's not. All right, let's see who's in the chat. Hey, Vicky. Good to see you.
Hey,
Hey,
Vicky.
family. Happy Sunday from Flowery Branch, Georgia. Georgia better show out in November now.
Georgia on my mind.
Vicky. Hey, Shaquan.
Hey,
Good to
Shaquan.
see you.
This is a new name.
The French hitter.
87.
Okay. I don't want to tell you what I first read, the French hitter. So,
Yes, I thought it was different too.
hello, welcome. Travel near or far. Good day.
Hello.
Looks like another new name. Jess is in the house.
Hey, Jess.
Good to see you. Rapper
MD
MD is in the house.
How you doing,
Shanora
doctor?
and Jametta. Good afternoon. Hey, Karen Louise. Cheers. Beautiful Alicia and Rick and the OBU family from Baldwin Hills. Did I know that you lived in Baldwin Hills?
Yeah.
Did I know that? So I grew up on Don Felipe. That should give you some idea. Hey Greta, good to see you. Action VJ is in the house. Hey y'all, hit that like button if you want to learn about the Pensionata Visa program and life in Panama. Okay, Action VJ. We about to hire you as one of our marketers, because you just come up with them every week, no fail. So if you think you're going to retire in Portugal, you're going to be working with us. You're going to be working with us. You're
going to be the other busiest retiree.
Right out there. Right, Jeanette? Hey, Allison. Good to see you. Kay Renee. We've got another Angelino in the house. Allison is in the house. Tanya. Good to see you. CK from the Bay Area. Woo!
In the house.
All right, some good friends of ours right now just became grandparents. Yeah. They're from the Bay Area, but they're in Sacramento, and we are so happy for them. So congratulations to Alex and Jerry for their baby grandson. Hey, Pinky. Good to see you. And that's another thing to talk about, the expectations and making sure that you have made arrangements for anticipated things in the States, right? Hey, CK, so glad that you made it. Maria is in the house. Greta King,
Killer Queen.
Wait, Greta King and Killer Queen. That's
the thing.
Right? And we got the professor. Happy
birthday.
Happy birthday. Does that make you a Virgo? You are a Virgo, right? Okay, now some things are making sense. All right. My mom's birthday is tomorrow, and so she's got birthday presents coming this evening. She don't even know. Hey, Jan, good to see you.
Hey, Ballerina.
All right, y'all, we are going to get started. Abroad ability. Good to see you. Hola from Panama. Very, very good. Very, very good.
Hey.
Marcy is in the house. We got Sharon, Culture Infusion. That looks like a new name. I'm so glad that you're here. And of course, we already said hello
Ain't nobody come to see you, Otis.
Vicky G is in the house. We love you guys so much. Tennis coaches, we are so happy that you are here for this important conversation because we are going to continue. We know, I don't know about y'all. I'm just going to say it. We're going to say it. Kamala Harris and the DNC showed out.
They showed up.
They showed out.
Yes, ma'am.
And I was up until 4:00 in the morning every single night last week to catch every single minute, including the balloon drop, the roll call. Y'all know I was there in 2012. Rick was a delegate in 2020. And I'm jealous. I'm like, why didn't they have all that when we were there, right?
COVID.
But Rick participated in the 2020 roll call. And I think I posted that on YouTube. So I say all of that to say it's lovely to really, I remember what I love about the United States. And I want to give our home country props for a segment of the population remaining hopeful, for a segment of the population continuing to fight for the idea of America. And it just lifted my spirit, and it was really good to see. That said,
making a comeback.
Hope is making a comeback, y'all. That said, Karens still exist. Racist police departments still exist, and them high prices and stuff still exist. They're trying to gut the ACA, and so the healthcare system is still abysmal, and all of that. I remain hopeful for our home country, but at the same time, we got to look out for self
and give ourselves opportunities.
But vote. But vote and give yourself absolutely, sweetheart, and know that you can drop off your ballot at any United States embassy. So if you are in a country's capital, makes it real easy to just go ahead and drop it off at the embassy. If you're in one of those states that likes to trip, thankfully we're not. Right. We don't have residency in one of the trippy states. Maggie, where do you have residency?
In Panama.
Well, no. In the United States.
Florida.
Okay. Oh, one of them trippy states. Yeah. One of them trippy states.
So we had to go to the embassy and find out how we can get our ballots, how we can vote. So we were encouraged to register with our state elections office or county, right. And then for them to mail you your ballot. The challenge for us in Panama, there's no mail delivery. So those of us who have an address in Miami and then a courier service to bring the stuff to you here, that's what we can do. Have our early ballot delivered to our home in the state, in Florida, because you still need to have an address. So for me, it's my cousin's address. That's where my mail goes. Okay. Then they can send it to Miami and then here. Once we have the ballot in hand, we can fill it out and then drop it off at the embassy. But it's getting the ballot to us that's the challenge.
That's a poll. That's a poll tax. That's a poll tax and should be illegal.
Exactly.
It should be, right? So y'all who are still in the States, hear me. Y'all, these are the things that we need to change. There's no way on God's green earth that she should have to pay those FedEx type fees to get something to be able to vote.
We should be able to do it online.
We can.
Yeah.
Other countries are doing it.
Those of us who are residents of Colorado,
we do it online.
You can do it.
We get to vote online, and we just upload it to the Secretary of State's website. We have to sign it on an iPad or something like that, right? And they match the signatures.
In 2024, and we
can
do it. And I'm in a state that is backward. They don't want us to vote.
No, they don't.
Everything they can to make it difficult. And even after we registered, we have to keep calling just to confirm
that
we registered.
Right?
Yes.
I said to the embassy, I said, why don't you make that a service to us expats here and have all our ballots come to you. We'll come get it, and then you can mail it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Double check your registrations
You
Yeah.
have
and
to
make sure you are
constantly
still
call to
registered to
make
vote,
sure
so they don't
you're
scrub
registered.
you off of the.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
don't assume
I
because
did it.
because you went online, it's a done deal.
Yeah, and I did it the other day just to check, just to make sure. Not that I was worried, but
Yeah, we're good because we have a Democratic Secretary of State. It's always the Republican Secretary of State, and I am going to be partisan. Sorry, because truth will set you free. That try to scrub the voter rolls.
yeah,
It's them that always try to scrub the voter rolls, not us. And so we believe everyone should vote. They believe only the people who support them should vote. So we will
But then when
hopefully.
you vote, you drop your ballot. You're just hoping it's gonna get where it's supposed to go.
Yeah, yeah, well, yeah. I mean, if you
I
go
mean,
like
if you make it
I used.
online, that's different.
Yes, and we used to draw. Colorado's a 100% mail-in ballot state. So, but you don't have to
Wow,
mail it in. You can once they open the polls, you can just go drop it off, and that's what I used to do because
that
I
is.
wanted my sticker. So, anyway, all
Um,
right, let's get to the topic at hand. That was my public service announcement. So, you have traveled a lot.
I
Let
love to travel.
So do we. Our pocketbook, it keeps us constrained. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't be in Portugal right now. So before we get to the why of how you choose a country, tell me your favorite place to visit, the favorite place that you've visited so far, besides Panama, obviously, because you decided to move there.
It's funny. People talk about France. Sometimes it's positive and negative, but I've been to different parts of France, and I like France just
Okay.
because I'm from Haitian descent, and this
Ah,
was a French colony, so we do
right.
have an affinity for that country, the literature, the food. So I love going there, going to Nice and the Côte d'Azur, and I've been to some little town outside of Paris. I love being in Paris. Um, let's see. I loved Barcelona as a city, but it's so congested and there's not much to go. So this is a place you just go to visit. I wouldn't see myself
right.
living there. I mean, I love every place I've visited. In the 90s, I went to the UK and spent some time. That is not a place I would want to go to, but it was nice to visit. Now I want to go through the Latin American countries
Okay.
and visit. I'm going to go to Peru at the end of the year. Um, Colombia is on the list, but I'm skipping Colombia and going down. I've been to Chile a couple of times.
Okay.
Love Chile. I don't know. I have an affinity for Latin culture.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and my Spanish, because when we were in school, English and Spanish were required languages. So I've learned English and Spanish since I was in middle school. So Spanish was.
Where did you go to middle school?
I was in Haiti. Haiti was a
Oh,
French
okay.
colony.
Yes, yes, yes. We know that. Well, let me
Right.
take that back. I know that. I don't know what everybody else knows. But
I
so, okay, so I didn't know when you moved to the States.
I
Um,
moved to the state. I was 18, right after high school.
okay,
Okay.
okay. So you
So I
did
did
all
all
of
my
your
studies. You start with
primary.
Latin and then English and Spanish. So that
That
kind of,
is so smart.
isn't it? So when we came here to go to college, we could write English and Spanish beautifully. But it took a little time for your ear to get used to. And then now I say English is my first language. I say I speak French, but I haven't spoken it in so long. I can read it, I'm sure. And in Spanish, I've been listening to it. And in Florida, it's like another Spanish country. So as a provider, as a nurse, I needed to be able to communicate with my patients. So I took extra courses in medical terminology in Spanish
Oh, yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
I could speak. Yeah. So I do, Puerto Rico, but I love the Latin countries and some European countries.
Yeah, I think as Americans, I don't know, I have an affinity for Latin countries as well.
Really, that's
And
great.
well, born and raised in Southern California, right?
Yes.
So
I say that's
we're a
the
border
funny.
state. We're a border state.
Yes.
And so I grew up, some of my best friends from elementary school on up were Latinas. And, we didn't, it's just how it was,
Right.
when you, especially San Diego, right? That's just how it
Right.
was. And
Oh
so
yeah.
I never knew, I don't think I really truly understood that they weren't as American as us or anything like that. It was just them and them
Right.
and them, right? And us,
Right. Yes.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and because America is so pervasive and ubiquitous, a lot of the culture of Latin America has pieces of Northern America. You can see it, you can
Mhm.
feel it, right?
And the
And so,
influence is amazing.
right?
You go to a place in Paris, you're listening to American music, they
Yep.
have French fries with everything. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Right?
I left that.
America exports its culture very well. And as far as
Yes.
pop goes, the majority of it is African Americans.
Oh, I
And
know.
so, we're probably going to do a video on this whole diaspora war because it's baloney. And it's like, y'all know you love us. Y'all know you love
And you
us.
love everything that we got. Yes.
Yep,
Right?
Yes.
When
Take
I,
exactly.
it
Yeah.
and take
right,
credit for it.
right. When it just reminds me of when I saw Lil Jon coming down at the DNC and doing that music, and I know that clip went around the world because it is so us. It
Us.
is
You're right.
so us,
You're
right?
right.
And
You're
so we do. There is something that is familiar about Latin America.
right.
It doesn't feel as foreign as,
Mhm.
say, Asia might.
And I think that's one of the things when I first came to Panama in 2019. Again, I keep telling the story. I was not thinking of Panama as a retirement spot. I just had my list. When I sold my business, I started traveling. And it was like, check, Italy, Spain, all the places I wanted to go. And the Panama Canal was on that list. So once
Okay.
I did a few European countries, and I'm like, okay, now I need to go south and look south. And I was like, I'm going to see the canal. And I don't want to sit on a cruise. I want to lay down and just walk around. And we went on a tour. It was like a Monkey Island tour where it's very tropical. And I remember, and I talk about that in one of my videos. And I was like, wow, like you said, it felt familiar. And I was
Yeah.
like, I like this place.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
took us to eat, and they had the plantain. Girl, I'm Caribbean.
You home now, right?
I'm like, you selling plantain? I don't care what you call it, patacones. Sign me up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So check. I was done. And then when
I
I
love
knew we were
it.
going to talk about that, I said, okay, well, I might retire in Africa. Let me check Ghana out. And when I came back, and it was like, no, no, no. Okay, let me go check Panama again. So I went back, and every time I came back, it was like, wow, it's warm, it's not cold. The vegetation, people are nice, brown skin.
Right.
I like this place. And
Yeah.
that's how I came. And I know I've met some people who said, I met a young lady the other day. She's like, I said, have you been to Panama? Nope. She packed everything, and that was her first visit, and she moved in. You and I
Wow.
wouldn't recommend that, right? But that's the way she did it.
I mean, some people know themselves enough to do that. And so that's a great segue into so you said the first place you thought you were going to retire to was Ghana. And
Yep.
so tell us about that.
Well, I don't know if you remember watching the president of Ghana going to Washington, D.C., and doing a speech when he said, come home, come home. No longer can somebody come and put you on a boat and enslave you. Come back home. And that was a call to a lot of us African Americans in the West to say, I'm going home to Ghana because, most of us are from West Africa. And that's what I did. I said, well, maybe I might make it there. Let me go check it out. So in 2021, I got me a 5-year visa and I went to Ghana just on an exploration trip. But I was not thinking of retirement at that time. So I said, maybe I can consider doing a business there. I could use my nursing background. I was thinking maybe I can open an assisted living facility, a restaurant. I'm a trained chef. I could do all these things, but I needed to see how it felt and how I would maneuver in this new culture. So that's what I did. I hooked up with a woman who lives in the UK, but she is Ghanaian. And she was able to hook me up with a hospital in Ghana where I was going to observe and study the healthcare system in Ghana. So I spent 3 weeks Ubering back and forth to this hospital, just observing. I was not licensed, so I couldn't do any hands-on nursing, medical related stuff. But I would sit there, they moved me, and I said, I want to move to all the different units. I want to go to the ICU. I want to see maternity. I want to see this. And I did that. And I'm taking notes. And then, they all speak English. So that was easy.
Right.
And I was like, the more I look at how care is delivered, the interaction between patients and doctors, some interaction between doctors and staff, and the whole way that they deliver care, I was like, this is really, really different. And I remember at the end of the 3 weeks, I was doing like an exit, kind of interview with the administrative staff.
Right.
And I was really, the thing that I noticed I needed to address, I was praying as to how I was going to bring it up. Because I did not want to come across as a know-it-all. I didn't want to come across as being critical. I just wanted it to come across as a helpful observation, I guess you could say. And I did mention a couple of things. And then there was a nursing school next to the hospital. It was a private hospital. And I did make them send me a day to the public hospital. But when I asked the director of the nursing staff, and I said, well, maybe now if I can't do hands-on in the hospital, I could teach at your nursing school. And then I said, how does that work? I said, I noticed that the nurses are very passive, and there was you could do your staffing a little better, like 3 people making a bed, taking care of 1 patient. And I'm like, you could save some money. But I didn't want to say that because that's a job for
Right.
someone.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? So you have to be real careful. And then I said, something we talk about in nursing in the US is critical thinking. You want the nurse to think about what could be happening with this patient so you can intervene early enough to prevent. I said, I noticed a lack of that, and I'd like to help with that. It's like, oh, no, we can't do that. Everything is set like this. You have to stand up here as an instructor, the student down there, you can't. I was like, I'm just not like that. So it was like going back, I don't know how many 100 years, and knowing me again. I keep telling people, know thyself. I'm going to write it on my forehead. Know who you are and what you can deal with. And I said, I don't think I could survive in that kind of environment,
Yeah.
right? Because the mentality of yes, 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 never questioning anything, Lisa, that. I think you and I are over the same. I couldn't do it.
I don't, my whole outlook on life has never been about this is how we always did things, because
Yeah.
you can always improve,
Right.
right? Like,
Yes.
right? Like, and unfortunately, I had those parents. Like, if I would bring home an A, then my dad would say, "That's great, but how could you have gotten an A plus?" Right?
You could have had an A plus.
Right? And so,
Yeah.
I was volunteering for an organization back in my other life in Denver, and I had to bless some of the elders on to the next phase of their life, because they were in that mode of, but this is how we've always done it. And I'm like, but it doesn't really matter. This is 2017. This is 2018. This is like, you talking about what you did in 2000.
Well, I'll tell you, that is what I found. that this is how we're doing it. This is how we've always done it. And that's all we know. And we're not interested in changing. And some people would say to me in the comments after watching my video, well, that's your opinion. Africa is not for everyone. I say, you're right.
Right.
And I said, I reserve the right to know who I am and realize that I could not function in that environment. I said, if I were 20, 25 years younger, I might consider it would take me maybe 5 to 10 years to come to Jesus. But I said at this stage in my life, because I'm over 60 and I'm just looking for the next whatever, I just don't have the time, nor do I want to spend the energy trying to deal with that. And I know it would be a downer for me. So for that, and I tell people, I am not making excuses, nor I'm not criticizing. That's your culture, you're comfortable in it, but I know it's not for me. And at the same time, just because I have brown skin doesn't mean I can just transplant myself into your culture.
Right.
Just it's seamless. It doesn't work that way.
No.
And I've had people call me, yeah, I've been here 7 years and I'm trying to get out. It's like, you did not do your homework. You have to go and see how it is and go beyond being on vacation, being a tourist. And people tell me, oh, and my cousin, she said, oh, I went, I had a great time. But she had a planned trip where they took her to the best restaurant and she ate the best food. And I said, no, I took the Uber and the traffic was awful. No, I went to the little restaurant and ate the fufu. I didn't like it. And people get upset. I'm like, that's my truth. That's my experience. I did not go there as a tourist. I went there to observe. I ate in that cafeteria. I watched these women. I went into like a maternity, clinic, and I'm looking at these pregnant women. They had HIV. Some of them had this and that, and I'm like, wow, that is so overwhelming. But I came out of Ghana, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, crossed it off my list. I tell people, yes, I come from West Africa. I did my ancestry DNA, and I'm from Nigeria, but I don't think I can live here in this stage of life. And I met another lady who said, oh, Rwanda is for me. It's beautiful, and I feel at peace. I'm like, so happy for you. But it's not for me. I left Ghana, and went to Rwanda. I didn't spend 3 weeks there, but I went for a few days. But again, just didn't feel the connection. Beautiful country, the mountain and the city, but no, I did not feel the connection with the country that I felt with Panama.
See, and that's interesting. So when you say you didn't feel the connection, what does that mean? What does that look like?
I tell people, I'm not new agey. I don't talk about vibrations or anything like that. But as a nurse for 40 years, I have a good sense of intuition. And when I come into a situation, I listen to my inner, whatever it is, how I feel. How I feel the connection between people. I observe people to see how they live, their facial feature, how they are on the subway, on the metro, the people who are selling. When I came to Panama, I'm telling you, I don't know how to explain it, but when I came off that tour and that sense of, this is a really good place, I need to learn more. I was not ready to transplant myself into Panama
yet.
Okay, not yet. But I remember when I went to Ghana, I did go to the castle and did all that, with the slave castle. I did that. And I heard people say, oh, when I got to Ghana, I kissed the ground. I felt such a sense of, I'm coming home.
Yeah.
When I got there at the airport, I landed, I didn't get any of that. I did not feel like I needed to kiss the ground. I did not feel like this is home. It was a great place to visit, but I did not get that level of connection. And I'm sorry, again, they're going to call me a sellout or whatever, but this is me. It was a good place to visit. I go to different places. I'm like, oh, this is gorgeous, but I wouldn't want to live there.
Right,
When I
right.
came back to Panama in 22, after I've been to Ghana and Rwanda, I said, well, let me go check Panama out again. So I came back for another visit and I stayed 2 or 3 weeks and I walked all over the place. I walked around and I'm just very observant. I listen, I hear, all my senses are at play at that point. Because I
Right.
don't know much, I don't know anybody here, but I'm just out there. Just to see how people move through the society, it was like, I like the anonymity in Panama City. When you're in Panama, even though if you go into the interior, somebody will see you, they make contact, and then that's it. There is no, what are you doing here? Where are you from? I moved from New York to Florida. I can tell
Right.
you how many times people would say, where are you from? Why'd you come here? No one asked me that here.
Interesting. Well, we don't speak Portuguese, so
No.
I can communicate what I need if it's daily life stuff, and that's
Yeah.
about the extent of it. And then I'm listening for certain words, and if I don't hear them, it's like I'm lost, right? So people do obviously know that
Yeah.
we're not Portuguese, but they don't know that on site. They
Mhm.
assume
They
on site
assume,
that we are
right.
Portuguese. We do blend in,
They
and
think I'm Panamanian too.
exactly, right? And one of my very, very good friends, one of my best friends actually in the world, is here now, but she's probably packing. So we hung out yesterday, and she was like, I knew that there were Black people because you said there were. She said, but I don't think that, because we went to a music festival last night that was just locals. Like, I didn't really hear any other languages besides
No.
Portuguese, right? It was a very popular Portuguese artist that was playing and stuff. So we're in the midst of it. The music is great. And we're surrounded by kids and adults and babies, even at a nighttime music festival. And she's looking around. She's like, I don't think that I appreciated how many Black people there are that look like us, that are not pure African,
Right.
that you
Right.
cannot trace back
Right.
to a tribe, right? And then we do have, tons of Angolans in Mozambique and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But even they look, they don't, well, I don't know. They blend. They blend. Like, I can't automatically tell every single person who's from Mozambique and Angola. And some people think I'm from Angola, which is pretty interesting as well.
If
Here,
you were
here.
here, they probably assume you're Panamanian because in Panama there is so much brown. 65 to 70% of the population is called mestizo, which means
Mhm.
a mixture.
Right,
And
Okay.
the
right.
history of Panama, because you had the Spanish invasion, they came from Spain, but then a lot of people came to help build the canal, from
Right.
Europe, from
Yep.
Asia,
Right.
India, Chinese. And then they started recruiting all those people from the Caribbean. So you have all
Exactly.
Caribbeans here. So people started intermarrying and mingling. So you got beautiful people with brown skin, straight hair, all kinds of hair texture. So you don't feel like you're out of place here because a lot
Right.
of people look like you. And they think
Exactly.
you're one of them until you start saying, hello, no español. And they're like, right? And then
Exactly.
the other people, I look at them, they look like me, we could smile at each other, but unless they start speaking Spanish, I don't know where they're from. So it's kind of a melting pot here. And I tell people, Panamanians are like, well, everybody else is here. You might as well come. That's
Yeah.
you know,
yeah, they don't care.
right? And if you look at the propaganda, it's like Portugal is telling Americans go home, but that's not how it feels on the ground.
No.
And it's very interesting because every time, like, if I'm in a public space like the metro or this or that, right, sweetheart, and there's a Black person who needs help, that, like, all these obviously looking Portuguese people are walking around and they zoom right
What the
into
hell?
us
Yeah.
and come over and, do you know where the bus station is, or the this, the that, and it's just, I'm like, you just let all these Portuguese speakers go by.
Yeah.
Ah,
You came to us. Now, sometimes, like I said, in context, I can understand what they're asking for, and I'll Portugal my way through giving some help, right?
right, right.
But sometimes it's like I have no idea what you're saying. I have no idea, and
And I
even
think
though,
understanding Spanish was also a point of connection for me.
yeah,
Whereas I don't know anyone, I'm walking around, but the music felt familiar. They even play Haitian music on their radio here, and I'm like, and they're like, "Yeah, we love compa." I'm like, "What?" And the
I-
food was
not
familiar.
surprising, not
The food
surprising,
was familiar. A lot of rice and veggies.
Okay.
right?
So there was a lot of things that connect us. So I go to Ghana. I do not like the food, and so there wasn't anything that attached, connected me. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
So, and I have to say, so we have the three major populations of Africans here are Cape Verde, Mozambique, and Angolan,
Angola.
and they have tons and tons and tons and tons of African restaurants. I have not tasted anything that I don't like. That food is banging, and I always say that whether it's Cape Verdean, which has a different twist, we had. Did we have Mozambique or Angolan food the other night?
Angola.
Okay. Yes, that's right. And it's like my Creole grandma spent some time in the islands, in the Caribbean
Yeah,
island, and then
yeah.
came back home and made some kind of fusion. But again, that hot oil sauce.
But
Thank
Cape Verdean, there's a lot of Portuguese and Brazilian influence. So yeah, I
right.
certainly did enjoy that.
It's
So
the food is off the chain. It really, really is, and it feels like soul food. It
mhm.
tastes like soul food.
Mm.
It's that food that when you start humming,
How many smacking?
so you said you had a list in your mind of what you expected your new country to look like, right?
Mhm.
Can you tell us some of the criteria? Like, so we know, like for Ghana, it was the culture and the mindset, of course, the food too.
Mhm. Mhm.
You talked a few things about Rwanda, but you didn't say the thing that was most disturbing, I'm going to let you decide whether you want to say that. But let's just say what culture notwithstanding, what were some
Mhm.
other more I guess I want to say practical and or surface level, when we talk about just your everyday life, regardless of whether you ever have to because you can stay in an expat bubble anywhere you go, right?
Right.
So let's say culture notwithstanding, what were some other things that were like, okay, so this is going to be a no?
But when I started doing that scouting, looking at Ghana, of course, Africa, my God, who wouldn't want to go to Africa? All
Right.
that sun, people did better with COVID because you have all that melanin and vitamin D. And I'm thinking the food is going to be like food for my ancestors,
Right,
my brothers and sisters, their way of life, being close to the ocean. Ghana is close to the ocean, and that's important to me.
Right.
So I was looking at all of those, the history and the culture. But when you come to the practical way of living for a single Black woman, and again, somebody who's younger may have different criteria because going to a country like that, you're not going to look for a job. I'm
right,
not trying to get a company from the US to sponsor me. I was going to be an entrepreneur just here too. If you want to
right.
come here, you can't come and looking for a job. You create job. You start a business if that's what you want to do. But the infrastructure was an issue for me. It took me 3 hours one day to drive like a 20-minute ride because the roads are awful, the pothole. There's something I was reading in one Facebook group. This woman said the potholes were so bad, even her wig fell off.
Oh no! that, dang, dang.
Have the little bus called Chocho. They say You could be in the church and you lose your wig.
I understand, because when we got our Mexican residency, some of the potholes in away from the expat areas in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, were like that. I was
Yeah,
like, hold on, here we go.
people, healthcare was
Yeah,
a
but your
big
wig.
concern. There were stories of people not being able to get help in an emergency. The facilities were people. There was this family whose parent was looking for help, and you know, they didn't have a way to get to the emergency room. She died en route, and I was like, again, as an older person, that's why Panama is attractive. You need to have healthcare that is affordable and accessible. That was a big thing on my list.
Yeah.
The food, I don't want to have to try to learn to like, that was important. Um, what else did I look at? And then language was an issue. Some places spoke English in Ghana, but the majority people tell you have to learn Twi. Twi is one of the local languages, and there's another one. So that was going to be just like my experience in South Africa. It's like too much for my aging brain, right? So I looked at that, and then not an opportunity for me to create job or to work in this institution that I'm familiar with as a medical person. That was like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, not gonna work. So I said, well, I have some time. Let me go to Rwanda. Let me check another country. I mean, 54 countries. I still have a lot of other countries to explore if I
Yes.
want to. And my visa doesn't expire till the 26th. I could still go to Ghana this time as a tourist and check it out. I'm not saying never, right?
Right.
I heard also of people not having water for days, electricity. And then there was this, the malaria thing was a concern for me. I had just had COVID. I was in the hospital with COVID. So I have to look for not exposing myself to more things than I need to. That's me. That's my situation, my story.
The important thing is that you didn't get caught up in the idea of it to the point where you would have come to regret it.
Exactly. And that's what people need to do. You need to be logical and rational about your choice and not get caught up in the emotion. Because a lot of people went to Ghana after that president went and said, come home.
Come home.
But there is nothing for you to go home to. If you rent an apartment in Ghana, you have to pay upfront for a year or two.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
And then you have to
And
have a good cushion to just spend, right? And
right.
then so much scamming going on. I was like, and then my research showed expats go somewhere, look for three things, especially older people like us. I don't know how old you are, but I'm of Medicare age. We look for cost of healthcare,
Mm-hmm.
cost of living,
Mm-hmm.
and then the presence of an expat community,
Right.
which you have all three in Portugal.
Yes, we do.
We pretty much have all three here.
Yeah.
We did not so over there.
Yeah.
The expat community in Ghana was very kind of frazzled, and I'm not sure that they, like this, like you guys are in Portugal. I don't think
Yeah.
we are like that here either, but we have clusters. And in terms of older folks, I did not find that there was an older expat community type thing there. They were mostly younger.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So
Interesting.
I
And
look at
yeah,
all
that's
those
not
and I have
surprising.
pen and paper. Don't think I'm just gonna go to my emotion. Oh my God, mm-mm. It's too much of a decision, too big for you to not be rational about it. So I
Right.
went to
I love it.
Rwanda, and me getting into Rwanda is a whole different story. I landed in Kigali at 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, that was fun.
Ooh.
So of course, they spoke Kinyarwanda or something like that. Not many people spoke English. They said some people spoke French. I never found anybody who spoke French. But Rwanda is absolutely gorgeous. I had a young man take me around, a personal guy. I know nobody in either country. I didn't know anybody in Ghana. I had the lady who had arranged my internship, but she wasn't on the ground. But at least there was somebody, a local contact. In Rwanda, I know nobody.
Oh,
And
right.
when I got there, it was difficult for me to order food. The phone situation was a problem. The Airbnb was beautiful. The people stare in Rwanda. I mean, for minutes long. And I'm like, I look like you. Why are you staring like that? Which was not the case in Ghana. In
Right.
Ghana, they were lovely. They were talking to you, smiling, laughing. Rwanda, deadpan. I'm like, wow.
Interesting.
And
Interesting.
yes, so that made you a little bit uncomfortable. And the
Mm-hmm.
Rwandese look a little bit different than Ghanaian. Ghanaians look a lot like us, but the Rwandese, they tend to be really tall. If you look, I don't know if
Okay.
you look at them, they're really tall, and all
Okay.
the ladies have their hair shaved off.
Okay.
A lot of them. It's either shaved off or some braids. But in Ghana, oh my God, it was the wigs here, wigs. But anyway, I didn't like the food. I felt a little bit, I felt stared at too much. Of course, I looked at the healthcare system. They say it was better, but I did not experience it firsthand. But I think for me, I tell people what was the nail in the coffin for me in Rwanda. I know the history of the genocide. I really do. And they try very hard. The president, they love him. All that health, he's walking and the hills. I mean, absolutely beautiful. I went to that genocide memorial museum, and my heart just the pictures, the stories. And I'm not somebody who is easily influenced, but again, I listened to the connection, the vibrations, how I felt. I met this young man who was working there. I'm like, how are you? And he started talking to us. And then he said, I come here every day. I'm like, why? Do you work every day? He said, no, that's where my family here. My family is. His whole family was slaughtered. So he said he comes every day so he can talk to them, so he can connect to them. And then they had a big old slab in the back with no trees, nothing. I'm like, oh my God, this is weird. What is that? And somebody said, that's where the bodies are buried. It doesn't do the same thing to everybody, but for me, it did something. I was like, oh my God, I don't know. It's like the spirit of this whole thing enveloped me. And I was like, mm-mm. I went to a city outside of Kigali. We were just kind of going around, and I met this young man, started talking. And I'm a psychiatric person, right? And you could see he was talking all kind of gibberish. His mind was all over the place. And they say, yeah, he's still suffering the effect of the genocide. And he's like in his 30s or 40s. So he was a baby when it happened. But the effect of it. So I know the president did kind of work, the reconciliation and all that, but that is a history that is so, I don't know, it did something to me.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because I remember when I went to Tulsa and I could feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
could
I
feel
can
it.
visit, but I don't know if I can be there every day.
Right,
I mean,
right? Like,
it.
yeah, I felt like I couldn't breathe in Tulsa. And it wasn't until I crossed the state line that I was like,
And it doesn't have the same effect
on
on
everyone.
everybody. That's what I'm saying. It was my reaction to it. Somebody said that G, he said, the G thing doesn't affect me every day. I said, I appreciate that, but I know how it affected me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I don't think I can do it. There is Kenya, there are other countries I could go to,
Right.
but this
Right.
one is not it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Know thyself, as you say, know thyself. And so,
always
it's
walking your truth.
really, yep, it's really important not to get so hung up. And sometimes it's ego on an idea that you ignore all of the signs that this is not the way
Yeah.
that you should go.
Yeah.
right?
And some people do the homework, but they still don't listen. This is the data. That's why you take notes and you write what you see, not what you want
Exactly.
to see.
Exactly, exactly. So let's talk about. We've got a lot of questions. I've been starring them, y'all. So we are going to
Good.
get to them. So can you just tell us, in general, what are the requirements to get residency in Panama?
Now, the pensionado visa, like this person mentioned, is the most popular visa, of course. And another thing to look at in terms of where you relocate is the government's commitment
To the program.
to the program, to expats, to foreigners.
Right.
Mhm.
Panama, with the pensionado visa, has said, we want you to come because when we come, we're just spending money.
Right,
We're not allowed to work.
Right.
So you can talk about gentrification all you want, but we're creating jobs for your people. We're renting those apartments. We go into the grocery store. We go into the restaurants. So
right.
when somebody comes to me with the gentrification thing, I'm like, okay, wait, hold up. We're blessing you too. So
Right.
if you're just talking out of pure hate, that's a different story.
You know, the government can always put guardrails around what landlords can do.
Mhm.
If they choose not to, it is not the
They do in
fault of the
Ghana.
person who's renting, right?
Right.
It's not the fault of the person who's renting. And we
Right.
see that in America, we see that everywhere. There is a worldwide housing shortage, okay? And that was caused by COVID. And the supply chains died,
Mhm.
for 2 years. And so, like in America, they were building so many houses per year. In COVID, it went down to none, and then you got to start ramping back up,
Oh, sorry, it takes a while.
It takes a
right?
while.
And so this is a worldwide thing. It's not a Panama thing. It's not a Lisbon thing, or an American thing. It's a worldwide thing. But it's so easy when you have something that is that complex. It
Mhm.
is so easy to look for the easy scapegoat, right?
Yeah, we
Their
don't have
fault.
a housing issue so much in Panama, but the pensionado visa, with the new government, people were worried, oh my God, they're going to make changes. The pensionado visa, all you need is to show steady income of $1,000 a month for an individual. I think it's 1250 for a couple. So you can register as a couple with just
Mhm.
steady income of $250 a month. That's all.
Wow.
So you need to just show that your social security statement or
Right.
your pension statement, you
Mhm.
need a lawyer, first of all. You can't get the visa just by yourself. Some people are like, oh, they want $1,500. And I'm like, well, that's part of your budget. If you want to come here, we got
So
a
there's
budget for that.
no such thing as a DIY. You can't do it yourself.
Exactly. So
Okay.
you show your income. You have to have an FBI background check, because
Mhm.
they don't want criminals coming into their country. Um, What is it? I don't think there is anything else because when you're going to open a bank account, you have to show, a bank statement from wherever you come from.
Okay.
But I think that's all they asked me. Then you have to get your paperwork authenticated. That's the thing. You
Ah,
have to go to
I
the
was gonna
embassy,
I was
New
gonna
York
ask about
City,
Question.
that.
or somewhere close, where they look at your document, your social security statement, your income statement, your background check, and they say, yep, those are legit. You have to have that. And then
Okay.
you take it to your attorney, and then they file for you. You pay the attorney whatever they charge you. You come out with a temporary card. And once
Okay.
you're on temporary card, you become like a resident. So next time you come in, you don't go into the tourist line, you go into the
Right.
resident
The
line.
Right.
resident.
And then it takes about 4 to 6 months for them to call you back for an appointment for your permanent. So
Ah,
you could be here or you could be home.
interesting.
So the insurance, you don't have to have insurance, or do you travel insurance work, or
I mean, that's your personal
Okay.
decision if you want to have it,
But
but
it's
you
not
don't
required.
require it. Mm-mm,
Is a proof of accommodations required?
mm-mm. When you go rent an apartment here, they they take your passport, they'll make a copy of your passport. They don't even ask, background check. They want to see your bank account. No, You want to pay your first month and your last month. You need 2 months.
Oh. Okay, you froze there for a minute. So you just need
Well,
the two.
doing that, yeah.
So you just need the 2 months.
2 months
First
rent,
month.
first and
Okay.
last, and
Okay.
a copy of your passport. That's all I give when I'm signing a lease. Now the
Oh.
lease is in English and in Spanish, but you can ask him to give you a copy in English. I usually give it to my attorney for $50 to review it, because
Yeah,
there are
yeah,
other
yeah.
things for you to look at, because sometimes they'll say you have to service the AC, every 6 months, or if you break something, or what if the AC breaks down. So I want to be sure I'm not responsible for those. So I have her check those parameters in the lease. But some people say, oh, you don't need to do that. I'm like, well, Spanish is not my language.
Right.
For $50, do it,
Yeah.
you know?
Because we have certain expectations of what we think is supposed to be in a lease when you're renting an apartment, right? That are like standard,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Normal wear and tear. You don't get to keep the deposit. All of the appliances, especially the built-in appliances, are
Mhm.
going to be serviced by the landlord unless it's our negligence,
You
right?
need to know, are you expected to take care of it, or are they?
Exactly.
Right.
And if like I can, I've been taking Spanish for 4 years and 3 months. I ain't reading no lease to make sure that I'm not missing something.
Well, I told you I've been learning Spanish since I was in school. I
Right.
still don't think I know it well enough to read a legal document. I'm not doing
Right.
that.
No,
Right.
because why? That's what is it? Penny wise and pound foolish.
Mhm.
That's what
And
that
the
is.
other thing people have gotten themselves into here, some landlords are not giving them their deposit back, because they just talk to somebody who say, I have an apartment. They don't know you from Adam, and they go and they sign up with them. And some of them are scammers. And when you say, I want my money back, they say, no, can do. They disappear. So that's happened to some expats here. And sometimes you're trying to tell people those things and they look at you. I get the vibe that they're like, well, you're just trying to keep me from making a deal or whatever. I'm like, sis, you do you.
Right.
I'm just trying to tell you. You asked me. If you don't want to listen to what I'm saying, don't ask me. Go do
Yeah.
you. And a lot of them gotten themselves in trouble for that. So you use a realtor, you use a reputable company to get your apartment. If
Yeah.
it's a $50 more a month, I'll pay it. But I know I'm dealing with a reputable company.
In the long run.
Mhm.
So our here in Lisbon and in Portugal in general, maybe Western Europe, I'm not sure. Most apartments are owned by individuals. Like, like in America, there's an apartment complex and a corporation owns it, right? And you
Mhm.
go to the management and you go to the main
To the
office,
office. Yeah.
fill out an application, and when one comes available, blah blah blah. Is
Mhm.
it more like that in Panama, or is it more like each apartment's a condo, or oh, you've got both?
No, we got both, because in the city we have what we call PHs, which mean a high rise. Okay, so when you have a high rise, you can have a company that owns the high rise, but they may have individual owners for the condos. So when you're signing a lease, you're not signing a lease with the corporation, you're signing a lease with the individual owners. But
Okay.
to me, when you go to the website that says, we have a website called Encuentra 24, you can find an apartment. You have owners who advertise, you have realtors who advertise.
Okay.
People say you get a better deal with the owners, but that's just too much. People are starting to see the rise in how many expats, and that gives people ideas to scam you, right?
Right.
So I would prefer to deal with a reputable real estate company. And like I said, I'm not nickel and dime in certain things. If it's $50 more, because yes, you do get maybe charge a little bit more because they get, a little of the commission. But, you know, half and half. If you go into the interior, outside of the city,
Hmm.
most likely you're going to deal with an owner that has like a
Okay.
Panamanian style home.
Right. Right.
And then you want to say, do I know somebody who knows this person?
Right.
Right.
You don't want to go blindly. You need to have a little bit of a, somebody to
Some
give you
word of
that
mouth
little
reference.
reference. Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially
we
from
got
experience.
we got so lucky. We
We
got
did. We were
we
very
got so lucky
fortunate.
because our landlord lives next door. He ain't going nowhere,
But that's good though.
right? Exactly.
They can
It
fix
is.
things and
They're
they're
right there.
available.
They want the
My
building to
landlord
be as
lives in my
nice.
building too.
See,
Mhm.
they want the building to be as nice as they would want it for
Exactly.
themselves, and all of
Exactly.
that, right? So, okay, let's get to some of these questions. So we're going way back. I probably should have taken a break in between there, but they have a 6 month program for a short stay. I wanted the Caribbean, but there were no spots.
Yeah, they do have some short assignments for like expert things, like teacher to teach a class or something.
Mm.
Yeah, I never considered it for some reason.
Mhm.
Hey, Diane, good
Hey,
to
Diane.
see you. I just love Miss Maggie, she says.
She probably watches my channel too.
I love it. I love it. Aren't there spiders and unwanted reptiles and insects in
Of
Panama?
course, this is a tropical country.
Right.
Yes, we have them all. That's why I'm in a PH.
Okay, so because it's like, okay, so if they've got, yeah, it is it is a
It's
Caribbean
a tropical
climate.
country. We have them all.
Um, so have you seen spiders in your house?
In the high rise, the higher you are, the less likely you're going to see anything. I tell people I've seen one mosquito, and I've been in this apartment since December. One
Okay.
mosquito, one time. I haven't seen a roach. We don't have any of that. And that's why people like us who don't like creepy crawlers, we like staying here. But if you go into the beautiful mountainous areas with all the fresh air
You're
and all
gonna
the
see it all.
vegetation, yes, we have
You see it
iguana
all.
pets, we have spiders, we have scorpions, we
Oh
have
no.
boa constrictors, we have snakes. Yeah, they're posting them all the time. Which kind is it? I said, I don't care what kind. A
No,
good
ma'am,
snake
no,
is a good
ma'am.
snake. Nope, nope, nope. No
And see,
critters.
so once you say snakes, Rick's like, no,
Yep.
no.
They have a lot of
So,
them. And
right.
then Panama is very involved in conservation.
Right.
So they love to protect their little critters and animals. So if you go disturb their peace, it's on you.
We were on when we were in Puerto Vallarta, what floor were we on? We were on the top floor,
We're on like 6.
sixth
Yeah.
floor. But little geckos and stuff.
Oh yeah, they're everywhere.
And
I'm from Florida. I haven't seen one here.
so when we would sit out on the balcony, they would congregate around the light, the
Uh,
little bitty ones.
Sixth
And
floor? Wow.
yes, and one got in. And Rick's like, oh, we got it out.
I went to bed.
Rick didn't get it out.
He went to bed. I didn't. I'm up answering comments or something, and there he goes. I'm like, I knew it. I went and got the broom. You go
Yeah,
get
the
out of
little
here.
geckos don't bother me that much.
Yeah.
I just don't want to wake up with
And
it
have
on
it
my face.
run across your face. Just
I had a friend when I was younger. She woke up with a toad on her chest.
ooh.
She opened her eyes and he was like, I would die.
See, that's the thing. It's like if I'm outside and they're running around, I'm good. I just don't want I don't want to wake up with one on my face, and
But they they
this
say
is
that
just
in the interior where they know that they have a lot of critters, they have certain things that the local tell you you put it all around the edges of your home and
ah,
it keeps them out. So you got to
okay.
find out when you're moving into a place in the interior what's there and how do I keep them out. That doesn't mean 100% of the time.
Right.
Some of them
Right.
could. This lady got bit by a scorpion in her shower, taking a shower, and
See.
those are things
Mhm.
that happen here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. In the Southwest as well. I know.
Yes.
So, Evaldry on the other side of La Brea. I love it. I love it. That's that LA talk. Did you see the Democrats living abroad delegates? I did,
I
Greta. I
saw that
did.
too.
I did. And I had forgotten that you could be a delegate from abroad, but I don't think I would have wanted to pay to go. I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of cheap now. Um,
I am too.
Everyone check your voting status. Yes, the scheme since last election removed many off the rolls. Yes, yes, yes. Especially if you live in a state that is trying to make it harder to
Not
vote.
voter friendly.
45 is panicky. I love this forum. Um, okay, so Greta also wants to know, how is the healthcare?
Healthcare is absolutely beautiful, but there's a big but for older expats. If you're young, less than 60, you
Mhm.
can find a healthcare plan for like $100 a month,
Okay.
right? With a nice annual ceiling,
Right.
and maybe you're paying $10, $20 to go see your doctor, just kind of like a PPO.
Right.
It's when you start getting older that the problems start.
Okay.
If you are of Medicare age, and I'm going to do my next video on that particular subject, it's like we talk about it all the time, but it is so confusing and people never seem to get enough. Talking about two different insurance agents. If you're of Medicare age, if you convert to a Medicare Advantage plan, you covered for emergencies wherever you are in the world.
Okay.
All right. But not straight Medicare doesn't work anywhere.
Right.
Right? Don't tell me you have a supplement and Medigap, those don't work at all. But again, when you break your legs or you have an accident, you have to pay out of pocket to the hospitals here.
Okay.
You have to give them your credit card and they will charge like $5,000 up front. And when you come out, they do the tabulating of what they charge you, which is better than what they do to us in the US, $5 aspirins and stuff. They don't do that here. So if your bill comes to like 4,500, for example, they'll reimburse you the 500. Then you have to submit a claim to your Medicare Advantage plan.
I
And
see.
in true form, it takes them forever to give you
Right.
your money. They're like, well, we drag our feet. Maybe you'll forget about it. We don't have to pay it. That's the American way. Once you pass that 65, let's say you don't have Medicare, you can buy a plan that might be 200, 300 a month. But
Okay.
once you start getting older, they want to look at your overall health. You have to have a medical exam. Like for someone like me, a plan might say, we want a mammogram, we want an EKG, we want blood work, we want a colonoscopy. So they want to know what kind of health you're in. And if you have any pre-existing condition, hypertension, believe it or not, is one of them. They want to see if it's controlled with your medication. If it's not, they're going to say, well, we're not going to cover any problems related to this pre-existing for 12 months or for 24 months.
Right.
So it becomes a problem. And if you're over 75, it's almost impossible for you to get a plan that covers everything. So what people are doing,
Interesting.
some people are just putting some money aside because healthcare, when you go see a physician here to do like a medical exam, like your yearly, for example, it
Right.
might cost you $60. Doctors spend hour and a half going through your meds, your history. They never rushed. The medical providers here are unsurpassed. A lot of them have trained in the US. They are bilingual. We even have doctors here. We have a hospital that's affiliated with Johns Hopkins. So their facilities are stellar and beautiful. We have a private system with all these beautiful hospitals that you give your money to get care for. Then
Right.
there's a private system. That is pretty good, and you pay very little.
Oh, so they have a public
So the
system,
public system.
because you said private. You said private and private. Okay.
No,
So
private and public.
okay.
Sorry.
Okay. That's
But as
good.
an expat and a foreigner, you are allowed to access the public system. You
Yeah.
may have to wait, but
Yeah.
people will tell you they had like appendectomy and it was $300, or they had open heart surgery, it was $1,500. So it's very affordable because it's for the residents.
Right.
Paying $1 to see a doctor, $5 to see a specialist. Those are available, but expats may choose to go that route, or you can go the private thing, and that's where the pre-existing and your
Right.
age
Right.
factor.
They do the same thing
Same
here when
thing.
it
Yeah.
comes to insurance, right? And they tried to do it to Rick, but they had a caveat: if you could prove that you had been covered for the last
Continuous 5 years.
Oh yeah,
5 years,
no, we don't have that
then that well, this was just this one particular company,
plan. Okay.
right? Yeah, because some of the others they didn't care, but yeah, if we
Yeah.
could prove that, then they would go ahead and cover him and not make him wait out the 12 months or whatever. But
Hmm.
even still, like we still could have paid out of pocket, like
Hmm.
you were saying,
Hmm.
and then the private system does depend upon the public system as well.
Hmm.
So, and so I think that's another reason why they feel very, very comfortable, excluding pre-existing, because they know that you have a backup plan in the public system.
Right. So here, the doctors who work in the public system, the private also work in the public system. It is
Yep.
Right.
required that they spend so many hours per week in a public
Right.
Oh,
system.
that's
So you're
interesting.
getting the same quality of
Right, right,
provider.
right, right,
So most of us, we go to the doctor, we pay out of pocket. There is no coverage for dental, for example. You go pay $40 to get your cleaning. I think I was reading about eyeglasses, these kind of things. But
right,
if you have a medical emergency, that's what you worried about most of the
right.
time.
Exactly,
Um,
exactly. So that's great information. Great information. Um, he was fired. I wasn't gonna. Maggie, do they have a shortage of accommodations there like they do in other countries?
no.
So,
People come here. I had a lady said, "Oh, I'm coming, but I want to go back and take care of something, and I'm keeping my Airbnb." And I'm like, "Why are you doing that? We don't have a shortage of Airbnb. Don't spend money you don't have to."
do the locals who don't make a really good living, do they feel like there's a shortage of affordable housing in their price range?
That's a good question. I have heard rumbles about that, especially in the city. Now, Panama is a small country, right? So
Yeah.
most of the jobs and stuff are in the city, unless you're doing agriculture or something like that. So a lot of the young people, when they graduate, they come to the city to work, but the salaries are so low, they really can't afford like an apartment, like what I'm paying, for example. So what they do, what's the word I'm looking? They're bunked together. So you can have an apartment, and then you have the husband and wife, and there's a cousin, there is a niece. So they
Right,
work,
right.
they live together, so they can help them out. So they do feel there's a little bit of gentrification, that we are, making it impossible for them to rent, and that's probably true. In the interior, like in the beach areas, they're saying that the prices have gone up, that the local can afford them, because the gringos come and they say 450, and they're like, sign me up. And I'm like, yeah, some of the prices we're seeing are crazy because of that.
So, so if you don't mind, if you want
No.
to share it, how much do you pay for your apartment?
My apartment's like 1,500.
Okay.
And how big is it?
Mm-hmm.
How big is it, or how
Well,
many
here it's in
rooms?
square meters. We have 2 bedrooms
Okay.
and a big living area. I'm a cook, so the kitchen is very important to me, and we have a nice kitchen. And my apartment is oceanfront. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. So when you have
Wow.
oceanfront, you pay a little bit,
Yeah, you pay a
right?
little bit.
So,
Okay.
and I'm like, I'm old, I'm paying it.
Yeah, I'm not mad at you. I'm not
I'm
mad at you because
enjoying it, right?
I've already decided that we need to be closer to the water, and I want to look at it. I want to
Yeah,
look at
and
it easily,
I'm thinking
not a
though,
peekaboo either, not a
yeah.
peekaboo. I want to
I'm
look at it.
thinking, though, I'm like, I have 2 bedroom. I don't need 2 bedroom. I really want to downsize to a 1 bedroom. But every time I think about it, I'm like, but the view. And I
Yeah.
invest.
It would
Yeah,
be tough. It would be tough.
yeah.
Um, That's for doggone sure. So yeah, and that's so when I was talking about, the housing crisis, I was mainly talking about affordable housing because to me, when I look online in our price range, I see a lot of apartments, but
Mhm,
that's our price range, right? And
mhm.
the average Portuguese person supposedly makes only $200, €200 more per month than our rent. So our rent is 13.25, and they say the average Portuguese makes about 1,500.
Are you in, well, you Porto, or what are those? Are
We're in
you in
Lisbon.
We're in
Italy?
Lisbon.
We're in
Lisbon.
Lisbon. Yeah,
Mhm.
in the capital. Yeah,
But
and
even
so
here in the city, we have different price range. This area tends to be a little pricey, but you can get a nice apartment in Panama City based on the community for like 859, and it's decent. So when people ask me, I'm like, it's all over the place. It's
yeah,
location,
yeah.
location.
Well,
Yeah.
that's for sure because you don't have to pay this amount, but their complaint is they're being pushed out of the city center, and so
Yeah,
now
I
they
hear
have
that a
higher
lot.
Right.
rents.
It's not as bad here yet, just because there is a lot of inventory still in the city. So people don't stay, I'm looking for an apartment, I can't find one. We
Right?
don't have that issue yet.
Yeah, yeah. Is Panama hot and humid like Florida?
Whew, yes.
Okay.
And the
See,
closer you are to the water, the more humid. I mean, it's great for your skin, don't get me wrong. But you step outside,
Hmm.
we all carry rags if you're walking because you're going to sweat. But the
yeah.
American ladies don't sweat though. We don't know why.
The American ladies?
Panamanian ladies don't sweat.
Oh,
Oh, Panamanian.
We don't know why.
Interesting.
wow.
They
I
said
wonder,
they're
like,
acclimated or whatever.
yeah, do you evolve? I booked January 2025 relocation tour
Oh,
with Deborah
good.
and Charlotte. Good. Airfare should be economical, get non-refundable ticket or pay more for a flexible ticket.
Hope to meet you in person.
I think if you are a tourist, you need to show a return ticket. Some people talk about there is some program you can just buy a return ticket and then turn it. I don't know what they call it. You probably know more about that.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think she's asking if she should pay more for a flexible ticket. Rapper, I
what
usually know
flexible
that I'm
ticket
going,
is.
right? I usually know that I'm going. And so I always get the least expensive ticket that I can get. I don't need, usually when I'm traveling, I don't need to
Uh,
be as flexible. So, but your schedule and your life better. So if you know that things come up and you could see having to move that flight, I get the flexible because paying, a couple of $100 more, especially if it's 100% non-refundable. Now,
mm,
or is it, can you just move the date but have to pay a fee? If the fee is less than the flexible ticket, then get the non-refundable.
yeah, yeah.
So, um,
That's
so
a
yeah,
great tour, I hear.
yeah,
A
Charlotte's
lot of
great. We
fun.
had her on the channel
I
too.
remember, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I
Oh,
hate Meta. I hate
oh,
Meta. I hate Meta.
disabled. Oh,
I you know I will look in our email. I am behind. I'm really behind. I've had family in town for the past a week and a half. Um, but you're not the only one. So they did this to Angela of Lamar and Angela out of Querétaro, and I'm wondering if I would go through the hassle if you haven't already of sending in a copy of your passport and doing all of that. I'm wondering if after the election they're going to
Yes.
soften up and kind of reinstate some of this. They were such bad actors before, and now they're going overboard, punishing. And for an entrepreneur, Maggie, you're an entrepreneur. You
hmm,
never want to have all of your eggs in one basket. Like, everyone who is on Facebook, you should have their email address.
Mhm.
If you've got a Facebook group or something like that,
Mhm. Mhm.
because and then it's just so hard to try to reestablish, and you're trying to
Yes,
market
that's so much
yourself,
work.
and it's just, I just knock on press board.
And then the YouTube thing too, where they disable your take you out of partner program for people. I'm like, what? If you're reusing content or you're using
Oh yeah,
somebody's
Yeah.
content and they just cut you off. It's like, wow.
yeah. My
Wow.
understanding is they just demonetize that video unless you are
Oh, is
habitual.
it the only video? Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know
but
that.
I know what they mean, because I've seen some channels where when everything is just repurposed video and they haven't added, it's not like they're showing something and then reacting to it.
Right, right.
It's just
They just
repurposed.
use it. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they don't want that. Yeah.
no, and I don't blame them. They're this is it. This is supposed to be another place to come to be entertained,
Right. Or
right?
informed.
Informed.
And or edutained.
Edutain, I like it.
Right. And so and we're out here coming up with ideas, finding wonderful people to
Working hard. Yeah,
interview
that's hard
and
work.
all of that, and just to use somebody else's intellectual property, that's baloney. My
Yeah.
daughter's mother-in-law is from Panama.
Yay.
She is familia. That is where I'm headed in 2025. Single, 62, and sexy. I
All
love
right.
it, Winnie. Yay!
Do you know what?
So
We're seeing a trend. In my last video, I talked about, is this expatriation a trend or a fad? Because, like you say, people get caught up in the sensationalism and it's like, oh, I'm moving, I'm moving. And I'm seeing a lot of Panamanians who had been living in the US for the longest time
back.
coming
Coming
back.
back. Okay.
The
So,
U.S. is still cray cray. Hope is making a comeback, but it's still cray cray. I do not think this is a fad, because it's going to take so much
so
to
yeah,
turn the country around
if
that,
at all,
God willing. And we know that if there is civil unrest, who is going to be
be the
the
first
most
target, right?
victimized, right? And
Yeah.
so I do believe this is the next great migration. I
But
think
not only that, but just because we have a woman, African American, that's going to flip their mind even
we
more.
we know that. We
Mhm.
know that. We saw what they did, and Barack was so much more
After
moderate.
Barack, yes,
He is so moderate. Like when I look back at some of his
yes,
policies, I was like, oh God, you could have been so much bolder. But
yes.
that's not who
But
he
he
was.
couldn't.
That's
It's the
not who he
fault of
was.
him.
And no, because they didn't, because what we look at as moderate, they were talking about it's, off the chain. So no, he
Right,
couldn't.
right.
Um, but in any event, so I do really, I believe. What do you think, sweetheart?
I do. I think this is the next migration.
Yeah,
I do.
yeah,
So
yeah,
Most people who responded feel it's a trend too.
yeah. I really do. I think we as from the diaspora in the Americas have finally gotten into the position where a good many of us have the resources and the wherewithal to be able to choose, right?
You and
And
I are trying to help and do it the right way.
right.
They
exactly.
don't become a statistic or a returnee, I call them.
Yeah, especially if they don't want to return.
Right.
So, are you really saying that Ghana and Rwanda are too underdeveloped for you?
It wasn't even about being underdeveloped. It was a convergence of different factors. I did not look at one thing. Remember, I talked about feeling the connection,
Hmm.
um, the presence of the expat community, and just the fact that
The
with my
food.
age, right, with my age, I don't know how long I have. I just don't want to put me in a place where I'm going to be challenged
Right.
too much. Not, that we're not challenged where we're at, but it wasn't just about God. I mean, Wanda is not that underdeveloped. I mean, the city is great. Now, of course, when you go into the interior, you see some different way of living, but
Right.
isn't that everywhere?
You see that? Yeah,
People
I was
talk
going to say
about
you
the
see it
trash
everywhere.
and the poverty here, and I'm like, we don't have poverty in the US. What are you talking about?
And it's
Right.
bad. Like, you gotten off the main highway, right? It's bad.
Yeah.
It is
So
bad.
it's
Like,
everywhere.
I have what I have seen. I was like, this is not a first world country. driving through parts of the South and stuff like that, Southeast.
Mhm.
No, ma'am, no, ma'am.
Mhm.
But I will just say, Marv's, it is too underdeveloped for me. I've never been to Rwanda and Ghana, but I have been to South Africa twice, and South Africa is pretty developed,
Yes.
and it's still underdeveloped for me. The infrastructure is not there. I am not dealing with those rolling blackouts. I'm not. I'm not dealing with it. I'm not dealing with the
And
water
it's a
shortage.
personal choice, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Because I've got family there.
Mhm.
Ashley in Africa, she is now.
Yes.
I now consider her a friend, right? She
She
loves it.
loves it.
She's younger.
I was going to say she's in a different space.
She's
Right.
younger, right? And I have to say, so my sister grew up in South Africa, and her sibs grew up in South Africa, and her mom, my stepmom, said she's so happy that they were able to grow up there because it
Oh,
changed the way they saw themselves in the world. They have so much more
good.
confidence. My
Good.
sister didn't get to move there until like 12 or 13, right? So she got some of that American, you
Right.
know, black is not right in her, right? Whereas the other ones moved, they were like 4 or 5.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, she came back so changed in a good way.
And I think if you had younger kids, knowing what, I mean, my kids are still in the US, as you know, and they're adults, but I have 2 boys and a girl. You don't think I worry about them every single day? Of course I do. Because we know what can
Can
happen.
happen.
I have 2 boys. One is 6'3", and they're a threat, right? But if I had younger children, I think maybe Africa would not be a bad choice because you want to put those qualities and those things into your kids and
Mhm.
keep them away from the American, you're nothing, you're a threat, you're going to be a killer and all that kind of stuff. So actually having her 2 kids there is probably a great thing for her kids to
Yeah,
Yeah.
grow up
yeah.
in that environment. But we
I'm
have
sure it
too much
is.
space.
Exactly,
Different.
exactly. And I don't
Totally
have to worry
different.
about
Yeah.
that. And I ain't dealing with them rolling
Ooh, those load
blackouts.
shedding was something else.
It
5 p.m.
is.
the power goes off. You have to
Yes.
cook your dinner at 3.
Right? And so, like in different areas, it's different times, but whenever it's a pain. So Kimberly wanted to know what
Especially if you got to walk up 14 floors.
14 flights,
Ooh.
14 flights because the
Oh,
elevators
Because
wow.
were
the
out.
elevators are out.
I was like, oh no, we got to go. I got to go. No, I'm not
Time
dealing
to
with this.
go.
I am not dealing with this. So, what medical jobs were you trying to create? If
In
things
Ghana,
have
I was
worked
thinking,
out.
and even in Rwanda, I was going to do like an assisted living facility, or I was going to do some kind of a concierge program for older people who were there who had children living in the diaspora, right? So let's say you were from Ghana, so many of them are in the UK, in the US, and you wanted somebody to take care of your mom. I was going to open that kind of a situation. And also, I looked in Rwanda. I even consulted with somebody on the ground. You can open a business in Rwanda like this, but after you open it, then how do you run it? I don't know if you watched the couple that opened that big cafe, not in Kenya. The tourist, something
I
tourist.
it might have come up in my feed, but I don't think I
Yes,
watched it. Yeah.
they are from ATL, and
Okay.
I remember their video. They moved there with all their kids and parents, bought this big house, repurposed this whole place, and opened a cafe, bookstore, music. That was a vision they had in their heads. But you take that vision from the US and you
Yeah.
translated it into Rwanda. Didn't work. And I'm sitting here thinking because I closed a cafe, a restaurant, and I know what goes into that. And then now in Kenya, these people are resilient because they're reinventing themselves after that loss. And then
Right.
if you watch their video, they'll tell you exactly that culture got them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why I looked at the mindset and I'm like, if I hire people with this kind of mindset, I would be doing this every day.
Right.
And it's just too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So are you
Interesting.
working in your profession now? I can't, first of all, I'm a jubilada retired. With pensionado visa, you're not allowed to work. And
Okay.
Panama has a list of protected profession. Certain professions are only open to Panamanians.
Ah,
And all medical, all legal, it's a long list.
interesting.
So if you want to, if you're younger and you want to get a job, you get a work permit, but it has to be outside of those professions, which
Okay.
is a good thing. They're protecting their people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
But as a nurse, if I wanted to do something online with an American company where my paycheck is coming from an American company, you can
Hmm.
do it. Even as a retiree, I can work online because I'm not getting paid by a Panamanian company.
Right.
But if
Right.
I'm getting paid from a company out of the US, you can do it.
So yeah, so you're not taking a job away from a
No,
Panamanian.
you're not.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
won't
yeah, yeah.
let you.
That makes sense.
Mhm.
That makes sense. So Maggie, in Panama City, is there a lot of jazz bars and music festivals for us seniors?
They have all kinds of bars. We have all kind of rooftops here in the city, and they have something going on every single weekend, and even during the weekdays. We
Yeah,
do. We have
yeah.
opera. We have La Boheme is coming. I'm going in September. We have Ricky Martin. We have concert. We have everything
Wow.
Okay.
in the city, and
Wow.
it's a foodie town. Any cuisine is here.
Um, you know, it's always the food. It's always the food.
Yes.
Look, I'm trying to tell people, there are not enough hills in Lisbon for me to lose this weight after eating this food. And it's so good. I mean,
I
last night
know.
after the music thing, the wings place was still open, and I hadn't had fried chicken in so long. We
I
tore that
see.
chicken. It
You
was
gotta
gone
go
before.
plant based. You gotta leave the chicken alone.
I really do,
It was
because
good.
that chicken was gone before we even reached the train. Before we even reached the train, but it was just like 3 wings a piece or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
But
yeah.
um, okay, I'm just looking for the rest of these questions, and then we gonna let y'all go. Um, is there an upcoming? Isn't there an upcoming retreat or scouting trip for potential Black expats conference for Panama? Thought I'd seen that. Yeah, that it's probably Charlotte's thing. So,
Or the
Professor,
60 plus Black women. They did a
okay,
retreat last year. They're gonna do it again in January, I think.
okay,
And the woman who started that under Stephanie Perry, she's in Ecuador right now. Valerie. So they're
okay.
gonna have another retreat for 60 plus women here in Panama.
Okay.
I think
Is
in
there
January.
okay? So Google that, Professor, and then if not, then contact
Now,
Maggie
they
directly.
have a meetup in Ecuador on the 30th, I think, with Stephanie Perry. That's a different
Yes, a
thing.
different thing.
But the
Right, right.
retreat is in Panama with the 60 plus Black women.
So is that the 60 plus Black women Facebook group?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So
Yes.
that's where you find that. Okay.
Yes. And the link, everything is there.
Perfect. And so Jess, we did ask, and this is
Yeah.
asked and answered about the healthcare.
For
It's not
the
required.
visa, no.
So yeah, because here, boy, like you have to want to move to Portugal. You really do, because they make you jump through some hoops. Now, there's nothing like the hoops of trying to become an American, a resident of
Well, yeah,
America,
that's even worse. But
right?
here, just to be an
But
expat, I think it's more about bring the money, come and spend the money. So
yeah.
they don't make it hard at all.
So do you know if Anthem and Cigna PPO is accepted there?
I
Is
don't know what Anthem is, but Cigna is if you have an international plan.
I think Anthem is
Anthem is Blue
Blue
Cross Blue
Cross.
Shield. It
Yeah.
used to
They do
be.
have Blue Cross and Blue Shield here. They have Cigna, they have Aetna, and I think
Mhm.
one of the plan is like what's the other one? United. So
Okay.
all of
That's
those,
what I was going to say.
yes, and you can have, I don't know if they have them as local. Panama has local plans that are Panamanian plans. And
Right.
of course, they're cheaper, right? But you have all these international plans that available to us as expats. And those are the choices for somebody who's 75, is over here and needs some health. I mean, it costs you $500 a month or more, but it's available to you. Yeah, they're
Right.
here.
Right. I forgot what I was going to ask. Okay, it'll come back. It will come back. Okay. What are some of the cities to go to on a scouting trip? I would like to do 2 or 3 months. I'm assuming, Ange, you mean the cities in Panama.
Panama is a small country. You can hop in a rental car and drive through from the end to the top in 8 hours. So it is not a big country, but
Yeah.
in Panama City, we have 26 different neighborhoods. And if you take like a double decker 2 day tour, you can go to all the different points in Panama. Then if you want to see the cities that are, we have expat heavy places like Coronado or Boquete, where they have a lot of expats. You can drive, but they're like 8 hour drive, or you can fly. We have a regional airport. They have a 1 hour flight. You can go to the beach, Bocas del Toro. But last year I took like 3 weeks and just went to the whole country by bus. I just hop on buses and little Airbnbs or hostels and just visited and just hit the ground, walked, tasted the food. It was amazing. So in
I
2 to
love
3
it.
months, you can pretty much see the whole country.
Oh, okay.
You
Yeah,
could here
pretty
too.
cool. Yeah, same here.
Because
You could.
Portugal's small. Portugal's very
Yeah,
small.
yeah.
And I think maybe he said in less than a day you could go from end to end, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like 12 hours, something like that.
Yeah, this is like 8 hours. It makes
Yeah.
really easy.
Yeah. So and so that means getting from town to town is not that expensive because it's not that far.
Oh, I'm talking buses for like $2, $3, but
Yeah.
I've ridden with the chickens and it's fun.
See, now you're braver than me.
What's the average
Look,
cost of luxury living? Well, I wouldn't know
right?
about the penthouse because I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we have apartments here that can run you $3,000, $4,000.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Costa del Este is one of those planned communities, with nice walk path and everything is a little bit pricier. You can pay $3,000, $4,000 for an apartment that would be absolutely gorgeous with the views. Now, if you have a penthouse, your utilities are going to be high. My utilities, because a lot of places don't have central air, you have different units in each room, which
Right.
is typical of Panama. If you control it and you don't have all of them on at the same time, you can pay maybe $80 to $100 a month. But if you like hot-blooded and you need the place to be at 65, you're gonna pay hundreds.
You're gonna pay.
Yeah. That's the same here. And I
It's
think
expensive in the city, but it's cheaper inside, in the interior. But they
Right.
have a lot of power failures and outages in those places. For that reason, you and I, Elise, we can't do that.
nope. I don't want to be that inconvenience. Those days are over.
It is hot here.
right.
It is hot.
Exactly. It was 100 degrees here last week
Wow. In
Yeah.
Portugal.
in Portugal.
Yeah.
Wow.
But global warming is not happening.
Yes. Oh,
Do
of
you
course
know
not.
right? Do you know how
Of
far
course
north
not.
we are? I mean, we're
Wow.
far north. We're probably equal to New York or
Yeah.
Maine.
Almost New York.
But in any event, yeah. So it gets hot, and I think for penthouses here, there was a penthouse down in Parque das Nações. I heard it was going for like 15,000 a month, something like that. It was.
Yeah,
What? They may have them here. I just don't know.
It was 3 floors. It had 3 levels.
Wow.
So that was like a house on the top of a building, right? It's like, okay.
But
They go
CJ,
like that.
if you contact any realtor, they'll let you know if they know of any penthouse and what the cost might be. I don't know. I'm just so average. I wouldn't even know.
Yeah. But there with the online sites, she can find it. She can find
Mhm.
it. So Nichelle, I think people dismissing the exodus as a trend are only aware of it because of increased media and social media. And on it after the Orange Menace and the pandemic. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there is an element of that. I talk about that in one of my little newsletters. They're called revenge travel. After COVID, people were so, trapped into their home. So when they
Yeah.
opened up, everybody's like, remember, they were going to travel. It's starting to die down a bit, and I think that kind of helped the exodus as well. For me, that was a factor, thinking that I got COVID in a facility because they didn't care whether I lived or died, and we were exposed to the stuff. So it was like, you don't care about me. I don't want to put myself at risk. I'm out.
Yeah.
That kind
Right.
of help you, expatriate too.
I was just so burnt out for, I worked in politics. So
I've
January
heard your
6th,
story. Yeah.
yeah, January 6th was it for me.
Well, it's
Yeah.
funny, Aisha, who is watching, I don't know if you're still watching, we live in the same building. She was doing a live today, and she was saying when she came here, she said, I think I slept for a year.
Wow.
It was
Wow.
just the regeneration, trying to get back to herself. She said, I felt like I slept for a year. And I'm like, wow, that's profound.
Actually, we did too, kind of. Like, I mean, we were still doing YouTube, obviously, but remember, we were waking up at like 11 o'clock.
Oh yeah.
Just
Easy.
recharging yourself and just
Yeah.
healing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and I'm gonna have to regenerate after staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning all last week. Okay, so these are the last questions, y'all, and then this is truly. Does Panama have a metro system?
Oh, yes. I think I don't know if we're the only one. We have a beautiful metro system that is clean, it's on time. We have 2 lines. We're working on a 3rd line and also a 4th line.
Okay.
And the new president is promising a line going from Panama City to David, which takes now 7 hours. And we're going to shorten that. So we're all excited.
That's
Cool.
going to be great.
It's
That's going to
gonna
be great.
I'm in that metro every day.
Yeah, so are we. And we can see the dotted lines of how they're supposed to be expanding it. Since it's underground, I have no idea if
Where?
they're working on that or not.
I think they are.
Are they?
Because there's a yellow line, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It's the yellow
ours
line
is
and the
not
red line.
underground. I think the one from David might be I don't know. But the 3rd line is, we can see it being built. It's gonna be above.
Above
Okay.
ground, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and one city, they're looking at doing cable. You know how you take the cable to go from point A to point B?
Mhm.
I don't think I'm gonna get on those.
Yeah, my medical insurance plan covers me all over the world. Okay, that's great. Question: will doctors and hospitals bill directly, or I pay out of pocket and then get
Okay.
reimbursed?
If it is an international plan, they will file the claim for you.
Oh, cool.
And
Okay.
for us, Medicare recipient, if we have that Medicare Advantage for emergencies, we got to pay out of pocket.
Okay. I follow. That's great. I can't even imagine how much
That's
that's
the
going
thing
to
that
cost.
people need to do before they move. Call the facility, ask the questions, because all of them are bilingual. They have people who speak English. You need to find those things out before you move, so it's not a surprise.
Exactly. Because we got lucky. I did not do enough research on the insurance. And I made some assumptions. And the one thing that we did right was get with Serenity Care concierge service,
Yes.
right? And they made sure they kind of pre-vet insurance companies and made sure that what the typical expat expects, especially American, right, is the best that they can deliver here in this system. And so but and we're paying more than I anticipated,
Right.
but still so much less than we would have paid in the United States. I think we pay about 180 a month
For both of you?
for both of us.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, but the system here really depends on the public system as well. It's a different system, and because this is true universal health care, and yes, there's a wait, but any kind of emergency, any kind of specialty care, like if you have if a person has cancer or something like that, is probably going to go through the public system with the direction of your private doctor.
Yes.
And a lot of them work in both.
They work
as well.
in both.
Yeah, I don't know if it's mandatory, but I do know that a lot of them do. Hi, Maggie. Can you speak about the rain downpour in December?
And it is a downpour. You talk about the climate change. Last year, I came here in January. To April, not one drop of rain. 4 months of dry, sunny weather. The
Wow.
whole country was dry. All the streams, the rivers were like, this year though, it's making up for it. Yesterday was a downpour. And what happens in this little country with the fragile infrastructure, lots of,
Flooding.
floodings and cars underwater, and the little people in the communities. When you drive through Panama, all the houses are like flat on the ground. And I'm like, where's the
What?
elevation? They're going to get
Right.
flooded. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what happened. So they say that November, December are the wettest months of the rainy season. So if you come in December, yeah, you need to expect rain. But everybody has their umbrella in their hand. People have their raincoats. We don't let it stop us. We're out there in the rain.
Yeah.
But of course, for us, Vantage, I call ourselves, we got to be careful because you're out there in these slippery streets. People have fallen, broken bones. So use caution.
Right. And these cobblestones here get really slippery in the rain. I'm not trying to be cute. I put on my Hoka tennis shoes. I,
Mhm. Here in
seriously.
Panama, we have uneven sidewalks and lots of holes, potholes, and people are taking pictures, and boom, people
Yeah.
have broken 2 ankles, broken elbows. Yeah,
Yeah.
so gotta
It
be
was like that in Johannesburg. I mean, the holes were like, and it wasn't just like a hole like a pothole like this. No, it was like you're probably going to break your leg
People
because it's going to
have.
go way down. Oh, Lord. Anyway, okay. What news program or YouTube channel can you recommend to watch to get used to the fast Panamanian Spanish? My
Is it
Spanish is Tex-Mex.
Well, all I know is that the Spanish is very regional over here. So people from Spain speak a different Spanish. This
Right,
one is
right.
different from Colombia. A YouTube channel, there are so many. I'm not particular to either one of them. I always have my earpods in, like I'm on the treadmill, I'm listening to, because I understand Spanish and the structure. It's the vocab that gets me. I don't know too many words, so I'm always listening. So I can't recommend any one YouTube. They have so many free stuff on YouTube. I just listen.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
sign up if you want. I think what I
Yeah.
would like to do is join a group where we go on Zoom and just do conversational Spanish. That's what I need.
Oh,
So I'm just
that's a
waiting
great
to have.
idea. Yeah.
Yes, once you get the basics, you want to be with a group and they say, okay, Maggie, tell us about your day. And then you model yourself through it and they'll help you correct yourself. And I feel like it would be a
Yeah.
nice learning way. But I don't have a recommendation. I'm sorry.
Well, if someone stood out that you really, really liked, then you would remember. So,
Absolutely.
right.
Absolutely.
They have a language exchange here with the people from the diaspora, and then, well, I guess they're from a diaspora
Language.
too now at this point.
I love
The
that.
Angolans and Mozambiques and Cape Verdeans, and then they want to learn English, and of course, we want to learn Portuguese.
And they
And
speak Portuguese. Yeah.
right, and they're so much easier to understand to me. I don't know if they
Really?
open their mouth more or what. I don't know, but Lisboans, boy, they cut stuff off.
But
Woo!
I think once you don't know a language, you feel like it's fast, where really they think English is fast too,
Oh,
right?
of course. Of
But here
course.
in Panama, there's a lot of slang. If you go to certain
Mhm.
places, they would be speaking. I wouldn't understand because they
Right,
use slang, like in
right.
Cologne, where the blacks are, and it's like, que sopa. Need to learn. And I think one thing people need to understand is give yourself time. It's gonna take time. So don't
Right.
think after 6 months you should be fluent. No.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So Rapper MD is saying Charlotte's group does every Wednesday does a thing to practice Spanish.
She
Um,
has a Spanish and conversation lunchtime on the fourth Sunday. Mm,
she's about to pay $1,000 per month for health insurance, Cobra. Oh yeah. So Greta's saying a person just lost her job. A friend of hers just lost her job in America, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, $1,000 for Cobra.
that sounds about
About
right.
right, right. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
That
Did,
Cobra
did
is crazy.
did Panama are they doing all the booster shots and stuff like that for COVID like in North America? Well,
I
that's
think
ridiculous.
you can go to. They don't require COVID vaccination anymore for anything in Panama, right?
Okay.
Because it's not a CDC requirement anymore. But every time they have an uptick in something, they go into the malls and into the stores and they're giving free shot. I got my flu shot like that. I just went to a mall and
Okay.
got my flu shot. So if you need it, you go to a clinic and they'll give it to you, and they don't
Okay.
charge you for those.
Okay. So I Miss Melanated, I don't know what you mean by is Panama City accessible? Are you talking about like
Walkable.
folks, yeah, or yeah, or ADA friendly, as I guess what we would call it, right? Like for yeah, most other countries, I don't know. I that's another thing I have to give America props for, because we
That
really
is
do have.
one
Yeah.
thing. They are not handicap friendly. The other day, I saw two wheelchairs on the bus, and I was like, because we don't have lifts on the buses
Yeah.
for people. For the metro, they do have elevators. So if you're in a wheelchair, you can use the elevator, but it is not. With those sidewalk we talk about, and they'll have
Exactly.
like a
Yeah.
drop for the wheelchair, and I'm like, and then what? Where do they go with it?
Right?
It is
The
not
buses here are
friendly.
Yeah, the buses
the
here have
buses here have the elevators
No,
and
we don't
stuff,
have
they have
those.
a thing, and
and they have a
there's
section
a
where you
special
can.
space for it.
I think
Um,
they're looking at it, but we don't
yeah,
have that right now.
yeah,
So if
yeah,
you're in a wheelchair and you want to be zooming in your little thing to go to the store, don't do it.
yeah, yeah. And that's a thing. So, well, thank you so much. We have been talking for 2 hours.
Oh my
So okay, so to get in touch is to Maggie's channel, and everything is in the description below. Her Facebook,
God,
her
thank
channel,
you.
and all of that is in the description below. Um, but I want to get back to if there's two things you want to leave people with as far as the thought process for choosing the right country for you so that you don't regret it, right? Nothing is forever, but we don't regret this at all. But if you regret it, you regret it pretty fast, like in the first year. And
Mhm.
and that's a lot of money that you've spent to just regret it. What
And
would be
that's
the two
exactly
things
right.
that you would leave people with?
Well, I have like a playlist that says retire in Panama, and it starts with the self-assessment. 10 question. Okay. Are you a problem solver? Are you open-minded? How do you manage money? What are your expectations? Are you adaptable? All these things you need to know. And I tell people, you score yourself a point. If you score like a 4 or a 3, you might have to reconsider that maybe that's not for you. And again, people feel like, well, you just don't want me to enjoy Panama. No, I'm just telling you.
Yeah, just
Okay.
being real.
And then do the research, like you say, get your finances in order. I tell people, if you have $30,000 in credit card debt, what are you doing?
Yeah,
You need to
yeah,
clean things up first before you even consider retiring abroad. And how is your mental health? Are you able to just be somewhere where you don't know people? When that loneliness starts to hit you and you miss home, are you going to hunker down or are you going to pack up and go? So, self assessment, research, and then when you get on the ground, just be open and reach out.
yeah,
Integrate.
yeah. I love
Those
it.
are very important for you to be successful.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Maggie,
I want to
for
thank
coming. You
you.
definitely have to check out her channel. All right, y'all. If you still have questions about how to get your money straight, if you still have questions about how to move abroad in general, and you want to just talk to somebody one on one, Rick and I do consultation calls. That information is in the description below. We do have a move abroad toolkit and a ready to retire toolkit. That is in the information below. Facebook.
Facebook, join our Facebook group.
Yes, Fire Over 50 Facebook group. So we talk
Oh,
about money, we talk about moving abroad, but it's mainly money focused. But we do celebrate folks moving abroad in the group as well.
man.
And then of course, if you need to get your money straight, we have Beyond the Bling, our financial course for late bloomers to get to financial freedom ASAP. Again, everything in the description below. We love y'all, and we will see you on
Thank
Thursday.
you so much. Appreciate it. Bye,
Bye.
guys.